sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Sports Zone.
Last night, young Matt Whistler and veteran catcher AT Brzezinski started the final homestand of the year. Whistler allowed only one run to the Nationals over 7 innings, while the ageless AJ cracked 2 homers, his first multi-homer game in over 3 years. Last night, a Henry Aaron special, 2 homers and a 1-run win over the Nats. Game 2 is next. Well, fellas, I think it's safe to say the Braves have found the winning formula at home. Just play a 2-1 game. They've won 4 such games in a row here at Turner Field, and they'll try to turn the trick tonight in Game 2 of our series tonight against the Washington Nationals. Hi again, friends. What a ball game last night. Matt Whistler was terrific in his next to last start of the season. AT Brzezinski hit a couple of home runs, and we might see another well-pitched ball game tonight. Jordan Zimmerman gets the ball for the Nationals, fellas. He's been a long-time Braves nemesis.
Yeah, Chip, you're right. That 2-1 score might be just what is in store for tonight. Braves will be facing a tough one tonight, and Jordan Zimmerman, one of the best right-handers in the game, impending free agent at the end of the season, so he's going to look to go out there tonight and end his season on a high note. He's been extremely good against the Braves this year and in his career. Fastball, curveball, slider guy, but you see his last 5 starts, or his 5 starts this season against Atlanta, 3-0 with a 1.82 ERA, so 2 runs off of him might be a big deal tonight.
And you know, Williams Perez is chomping at the bit. He too, Joe, is pitching much better of late for Atlanta.
You know what? He has pitched more like the first half of the season, Chip. When he first came back from the disabled list, he went through a real rough patch. His 6 or 7 starts after the DL, he didn't even have a W. But his last 4 starts, including some action you're seeing right here, he's pitched into the 6th inning at least in all 4 of those, while going 2-0 with a 2.92 ERA. Good stuff there. You can see those previous 7 starts were nothing to write home about, but he's back on the beam. I like his chances tonight, like Tom said, if the Braves can get him a couple of runs.
Chance for the Braves to clinch the home portion of the schedule against the Washington Nationals with a win in Game 2 tonight. Pretty night for baseball. Hope you enjoy the ball game tonight. We sure enjoyed watching AT Brzezinski's big night last night. Yes, he's still great at 38, and Andre will have more on that when we come back to Atlanta in a moment.
Brewers. Right stuff, low price, every day.
Welcome back to Turner Field. Last night, our club was going up on a Tuesday, and hopefully tonight, the fun and games will continue in the second game of 3 between your Braves and our rivals from Washington, D.C. Hello again, everyone. I'm Andre Aldridge, and of course, the homestand got off to a sensational start in no small part because of the continued play of A.J. Pierzynski, and what great play it's been. Matter of fact, A.J. Pierzynski, the focus of our Zaxby's indescribably good play. Since July 5th, simply the best. The batting average, .340. That ties the highest among all major league catchers. On base percentage, pretty close to 400. The 15 extra base hits and the 20 RBIs, all of that since July the 5th. So with all that he's produced all season, I asked manager Freddie Gonzalez if he could even imagine what this season would have been like without A.J. Pierzynski.
No, not at all. Really. You know what? It's this guy's, he's got a chance to hit 300. He's hitting 299, 2 home runs last night to win the game. Great play on the thing. And he's 37, 38 years old. And again, he wasn't supposed to sign up for this. He's not supposed to sign up for 100 games. He was going to sign up to play 50 or 60 games. Things didn't work out. But I'm glad that he was able to be here and participate and do a terrific job.
And it wasn't a Hollywood talk from A.J. Pierzynski when he talked to Freddie Gonzalez earlier this season. He said, whatever you want, I'm good to do. And the whatever was wanted was everything needed. And he indeed has provided that indeed. All right, folks, Chip, Joe, Tom, and some very special guests tonight are right around the corner. Williams Perez looks to take center stage. It's the Braves and the Nats. It promises to be good. Coming up right next from Turner Field.
It's the Braves and the Nationals. Game 2 of our set coming to you from Turner Field. Final start of the season for young Williams Perez. He's got a chance, fellas, to finish the year above 500 with a win tonight.
Yes, he does. 20th start on the year. Kind of been a tale of 3 parts of his season, really. You see what he did prior to going on the DL. Pitched real well, and as Joe mentioned, struggled coming out off of the DL, but really put things back together here and look for him to have a good start tonight and finish the season on a high note.
A lot of it will depend on his first Ford key of the night. For pitching success tonight, 30-30. His first 30 pitches invariably dictate his whole ball game. The league is hitting .310 against him in the first inning, and he's allowed 15 runs in his first 19 starts in the first inning. Lack of familiarity. He has pitched against the Nationals, but it was 1/3 of an inning out of the bullpen early in the year, so he might have an early advantage and be able to get away from that first 31 pitch problem.
Yeah, that was his debut on May 8th. 4 earned runs in that 1/3 of an inning. So we'll see if Perez has better luck against the Nationals tonight. who were beaten by the Braves 2-1 in Game 1 here in Atlanta yesterday. Key to the game last night from a pitching standpoint were the early innings from Matt Whistler. He had 2 on, nobody out in the first, got out of trouble there, gave up a leadoff double in the second, got out of that frame, and only allowed 1 run on a Trey Turner homer. So Williams Perez gets things started, misses inside Anthony Rendon. Ball 1 on a 78-degree night, very muggy night here in Atlanta. 1 ball, 1 strike.
It's nice to see the rain go away for a little while, that's for sure.
A little sunshine was nice.
Fly ball foul by Rendon. 1-2 is your count. All kinds of horrible weather in the Northeast yesterday. A lot of double headers today. And there is some concern for the Nationals and Mets. They play the final series in New York this coming weekend. Bouncing ball inside the bag, fair past Swisher. And Rendon around first is on his way to second, and he'll stand there with an opposite field leadoff double. His 16th of the season.
Well placed. Like a changeup hit right off the end of the bat.
Yeah, not much you can do about that. Trying to pitch the contact, weak contact, just kind of crossed up the defense.
Not much Nick could do about that. He'll look at Trey Turner now. The young Nationals second baseman had a big game last night. A single, a homer, and a walk. The home run, his first in the big leagues. He was not in the original lineup tonight. Yunel Escobar was. Escobar can't go. So Turner back in at second base. Rendon third. To short. That won't advance the runner. Oh, Simmons with a nice fake. And Rendon almost had a heart attack. But he's back standing at the second base bag. Check this out.
I've never seen anybody have enough confidence to do a phantom throw and still have time to throw to first to get the out. Nice.
Even Rendon smiling about that. Nice effort by Simmons to get Trey Turner. Here's Bryce Harper. Harper had a quiet night last night. Fly to left, walked, struck out, and hit into a double play. And he grounds 1 towards Swisher at first on the first pitch. Runner to third. There's the second out. So the cleanup man tonight is Jason Worth, and here's the rest of the Washington Nationals lineup presented by their skipper Matt Williams and Academy Sports and Outdoors. Robinson, Desmond, Ramos, Taylor, and Zimmerman, the bottom part of the lineup card. Nationals enter play tonight at 80-77. They are 8 games under 500 on the road at 34-42. One ball, no strikes to the Nationals cleanup man. This spot on the lineup card has given Williams some trouble.
Absolutely, it has. Big average, big on base.
There's a strike. It's 1-1 to Worth.
Over these last 4 starts, where he's gone 2-0 with a sub-3 ERA, Perez has cut down on his walks, 5 walks to 18 strikeouts over that stretch. Just missing.
Good cut, fouled straight back at 2 balls, 2 strikes. A.J. Pierzynski had a great line on Matt Whistler last night. He said, quote, a couple of times I had to go to the mound and tell him to get the little guy or whoever's talking to him out of his head and just throw the ball with confidence and be confident in what you're doing.
Oh, that little guy. He causes so many problems out there.
Top fly out of play, foul, and Joe's made the point several times with regards to Williams Perez. When he's able to pitch inside, he's a much more effective and confident pitcher.
I like watching him work. I love his delivery and the fact that it looks like his windup is and stretch is about 104 miles an hour and everything else is 92 and below. But that changeup is outstanding, and it is even going to be more effective once he starts pitching inside.
He worked around a leadoff double. He stranded Rendon at third base in a scoreless top of the first, and we're underway in Atlanta. Atlanta, Michael Bourne will lead off Braves Academy Sports and Outdoors starting 9 tonight. Hector Olivera will be the second place hitter. Freddie Freeman, night off, the wrist bothering him, so Nick Markakis will be the third place hitter. A.J. Pierzynski, Nick Swisher at first, then Peterson, Simmons, Cunningham, and Perez against a man that's a free agent to be, as Joe said, and one of the best right-handers in the National League, Jordan Zimmerman.
13-9 on the year, having a good season. You see his career numbers against the Braves in 15 starts, 7-2 with a 2.52 ERA. So he's been really good against the Braves, and he's been real good here at Turner Field as well.
He has 70 wins against 49 losses in his career and a career ERA in the threes. He had Tommy John surgery in 2009, worked his way back, pitched a partial season in 2011. They shut him down in September that year, but he made every one of his starts. He's made every one of them since. He's been a real workhorse.
30 or more starts in 4 consecutive years. And the 70 wins Joe mentioned are the most in Washington Nationals history. First pitch, ground ball to short. That'll be easy for Desmond. And that's how the Braves offensive night begins. A ground ball to shortstop by Michael Bourne. 1 up, 1 down. Good to see Hector Olivera back in the lineup last night. He was hit in the left elbow by a pitched ball. You can see the wrap on his left arm tonight.
I think he's ditched that 1973 circa 1973 elbow guard. I think he's stepped up.
Yes, he has. Good.
That's out of play, foul. 1 ball, 1 strike. I mean, when that ball hit him, he was, I'm guessing the arm went numb. He stood around home plate for a good 2-3 minutes before he was unable to continue. A chopper towards short. Desmond charges, throws on the run, and got him. 2 down.
Another guy that's going to be a free agent, Ian Desmond. Be interesting to see if the Nationals do what they've got to do to re-sign him, or if they let him go. Hard to find shortstops that hit 19 or 20 homers a year.
Yes, it is. The team's lining up to talk to him, that's for sure.
Nick Markakis batting third tonight. Nick led off last night and had a rare 0 for. He was 0 for 3 with a walk. That snapped his 7-game hitting streak. And out of play foul. 1 ball, 1 strike. But despite the 0 for last night, Nick Markakis, our Georgia lottery hitting the jackpot feature.
Great numbers against the Nats and good numbers, really good numbers against this guy. Not too many people can claim that. After all those games of leading off, I was wondering if Nick might try to elbow Michael Bourne out of the way in the on-deck circle.
Yeah. What are you doing? Get out of the way.
Line drive to left. Hitting third doesn't bother him. That's going to roll all the way to the wall. Jason Worth will play it. And Nick Markakis with a 2-strike, 2-out double keeps the inning alive for A.J. Przinsky. He has done that all year long.
I don't know what size bat Nick uses, but when he squares it up, it is a great sound. And that has been, hear that, just solid. That's been his game all year long.
Yeah, just short to the ball with 2 strikes, and you get a fastball that's up in the zone, and beautiful swing, shot the gap, nice double.
So the Braves a chance with 2 outs to strike first, and here's their hot hitter, A.J. Przinsky. He's 3 for 3 last night. A 2nd inning single, homers in the 4th and 7th last night. His 6th career multi-home run game. Braves were finally able to beat Tanner Roark, who entered the game 3-0 lifetime against the Braves. They'd love to hang a loss on Zimmerman, who's 3-0 against Atlanta this year. 1 ball, 1 strike. And that bounces into the Nationals dugout. Little pop behind third. That's going to get down. Worth will charge. Here comes Nick around third. He's going to score. And A.J. Przinsky's perfect series continues at the plate. A bloop single puts the Braves in front.
It might also put him at 300. Came in hitting 299. And Gretchen tells me that little bloop, that Ric Flair, bumps him to 301.
Nice. We got the first base. He was looking in the dugout. I think he needs a new thumb, too.
Yeah, that's right.
He's 13 hits away from 2,000 now, and he's a perfect 4 for 4 in the series. So the Braves have struck first, and here's Nick Swisher. And that's out of play foul. It's 0-2. Braves might be catching Zimmerman at the right time. As good as he's been all year, might be fading just a bit down the stretch. He's given up 5 homers in his last 3 outings and has an ERA of 7.41 in that stretch.
Yeah, 3 of those homers were in his last start, Joe, against the Phillies.
Down in 1 ball, 2 strikes. 2-2. And now a full count. So advantage for AJ. He'll be off to the races with a 3-2 pitch. There he goes, and it's high, ball 4. Zimmerman can't believe it. He thought that was good enough to be called a 3rd strike. Want to prolong the inning, and he has a long look in at Mark Wagner.
And normally, walks are not a problem. Matt Williams wanted to know where it was, too. That's only the 39th walk in 196 innings for him.
Fouled away at the plate. Joe's right about the impeccable control of Jordan Zimmerman. He hasn't walked back-to-back hitters in 765 innings, covering 122 starts.
That's amazing.
Only one man has a longer streak than that of Zimmerman, and that's the Mets' Bartolo Colon. Bartolo Colon hasn't walked back-to-back hitters in 164 games. One ball, one strike for Jace. And that's rolled foul. Terry Pendleton will watch that one bounce by.
If you're behind 1-2, I understand that pitch, that swing. You're getting out there real quick and you roll over that off-speed pitch. But even in the count, early in the count, Chase continues to do that in an effort to try to pull everything. When he's hitting the ball up the middle and maybe a few times to left center, he is locked in because he's thinking that way and then react to pull instead of the opposite.
Pulled to the right side. Turner's got it. His throw to first ends the inning. But the Braves making a productive frame. 24 pitches from Jordan Zimmerman and AJ Przinsky with a run-scoring hit. Special night for us in the booth. John Hart, John Schuerholz will join us and give us the state of the Braves in 2015 and beyond when we come back. And as we mentioned going to break, a very special treat for us and hopefully for you as well. We're joined by John Schuerholz and John Hart. Joe Simpson, Tom Glavine, yours truly, Chip Carey at the ballpark. Time to discuss 2015, 2016, and beyond, fellas. Obviously, we've got less than a week to go in 2015. What went right? What went wrong? What would you do differently? What would you do the same?
Well, it's my job tonight, according to Mr. Hart, to talk about 2015. So I will. I've been here 25 years with this organization, and it's the worst year I've experienced in my life with this organization. And I'm sure the fans feel the same way. And I'm sure you guys may feel similarly. And we understand that. This was a year that, by design, we knew that we had to make some very aggressive and tough moves to get this organization positioned so that we could pivot in the fashion and in the direction we need to go, which is in a positive direction, like the Braves always have done, as Tommy knows well and you guys know well. And we believe we've done that. Thanks to the work that John Hart, our president of baseball operations, this gentleman sitting right next to me, and his trusty assistant, general manager John Coppola, they did remarkable work in a very short period of time. And we are now positioned with a farm system full of talent that we didn't have before, and some acquisitions we've made that we think we're poised so that 2016, the Braves fans and we sitting here tonight and anybody who watches the Braves and loves the Braves will be thrilled and happy about what they see on this field in 2016, which will be a foretaste of what's to come in 17, 18, and 19. So it's a tough year. We admit that. We own it. We live up to it. We can't make excuses about it, but we're on the right track and we're headed in the right direction.
This is Ian Desmond for Washington. He's their shortstop, man aboard with nobody out in the second inning. And Williams Perez dropped that in for a strike.
So, Mr. Hart, what can we expect for 16?
Well, I think a couple of things. We realize that our bullpen is an area that we really need to, I think, aggressively get after this winter. And I mean, we can all sit here and point to the Grilly injury. We traded Jim Johnson. As John said, we were aggressive. We ended up trading Craig Kimbrell on opening day. And I think, again, we were just thin and we didn't have the bullpen, I think, to support the young starting pitching that we have. So I think we're going to be very aggressive in the winter and adding bullpen pieces. We think Grilly's going to come back. We're really happy with what we see from Vizcaino. But we think that there's going to be 2, 3, 4 additional pieces. And in addition, we have 2 or 3 guys sitting down there on the DL down in Florida, guys that we've acquired. Shea Simmons is a guy that's going to be back next year. It's a guy that we had counted on this year that went down. So I think the bullpen's a priority. We're going to examine some starting pitching. We're happy with the young starters we have. We're disappointed Folty hadn't been able to pitch here the last 6 weeks. The same thing with Manny Benuelos, but we like both of those kids. And we don't have a whole lot of other upper level starters ready, so we might take a look in the starting rotation. Might take a look there as we go into the winter as well.
On top of that, how close are some position players? Is that someplace you're also going to be addressing, or do you feel like there's some people that might be close to helping out there? Malik Smith comes to mind.
Yeah, I think Malik's is obviously going to be in spring training with us. He's down at the Instruction League now, and we've got, by the way, to echo what John said, we've got a lot of good-looking young players that are down there. A lot of the players that we've acquired in deals, guys we hadn't, we picked up in the draft. I mean, there's been a lot of good things that are going on there quietly down below.
Latin American guys as well.
Latin America, we had a real good international signing period. So, I think in looking at our upper level position players, we don't have a lot of power. Don't have a lot of power bats. Malik Smith is the closest guy, leadoff hitter, center fielder. We think that there's a chance he could come sometime during 16, but timetable might be more like 17, but he's a table setter. He's a leadoff guy. He was our player of the year in the minor leagues. This guy had a really special year, and it's an exciting young player.
2 balls, no strikes to Wilson Ramos, and now 3-0 from Williams Perez. Leadoff single and a walk to Ian Desmond as the Nationals bat here in the second inning.
I think, again, you talk about the young position players. When we made a lot of these deals, obviously we got a lot of pitching back by design, but clubs aren't parting with young power bats. It's very difficult. We we talked about a lot of guys that we just couldn't get. They wouldn't part with them. And I think that one of the things that we've looked at, that you either have to go out in the free agent market, you've got to sign them, or you're going to have to draft them yourself. Because if you've got somebody that's young and has a chance to hit mid-order in today's world, those guys are few and far between to be able to acquire. We like some of the young bats that we've acquired through the draft. Braxton Davidson's going to probably move to Carolina next year. We like what we see there. Austin Riley, that we got with pick 41, that we got in the Kimbrel trade, is a good-looking kid. He hit a home run today in the Instruction League in their first ball game down there. So, we got some kids, but they're down the line a little bit.
Let me also add this too. What we did this winter.
One there, and the throw to first is in time. How about that double play by Anderson Simmons?
Splendid. What we did this winter was intentional and by design. How it turned out the second half was not intentional, nor was it by design. Because when Jason got hurt, we lost our closer. Of course, having traded Kimbrel, who we hated trading, it was tough for us to do because we all love what Greg Kimbrel was to this organization. But we didn't believe that we would have legitimate save chances for he and his status. So we did this intentionally, and I think we did it very well. I think John Coppolella did it very well, and we're poised again, as repeating myself, to move forward in a very progressive and a positive way. And the team we put on the field, we've made a vow that this team is going to reflect who the Atlanta Braves are by those pennants strung up on that wall out there. We may not win division championships, but we're going to be competitive in a team that the fans are going to love watching play.
It's almost funny, too, guys, as the Braves are going to walk Michael Taylor. If the first half and second half of the season had been reversed, we might be having a totally different conversation. Braves started 42-42, and then obviously with all the trades and everything else that took place, a much different outcome as far as the wins and losses are concerned.
Yeah, Chip, that's for sure. I don't think I've ever been as excited with a 500 club as I was watching this club play the first half. I think there were very low expectations. We had to do a lot of team building on the fly during the winter. We couldn't really actively get involved. We didn't know exactly what was going to happen. And we went for a lot of good makeup guys, some of the younger players that we gave opportunities to. But at the end of it, this club did overachieve, and I think our lack of depth caught up with us. We continued to make deals, I think, as we went along, with the objective being that we were focused and committed on what it is that we're doing, and that is building a strong foundation. And I think, to John's point, that as we went into the second half, I don't think anybody really wanted to see the collapse. But when we lost some guys with injuries, we traded guys off. We just didn't get big league players back. We just didn't have the depth at the upper levels. And I think it was very tough for us to watch, very tough to swallow. We all, we wore this every night, watching what this club did. But, at the same point, this chapter is going to close, and we are in much better position going forward than we were a year ago today.
I know we talk a lot about 2017, but I'm going back from 17 to next year. With the money that, at least from the outside looking in, was saved from a budget standpoint, with guys that were traded away, will there be some room to do some things this coming winter?
We're going to have financial flexibility that we didn't have last year before these trades were made. So to answer your question, yes, we're going to be more light on our feet financially.
Good. Wow. Good.
Thank you.
I'm glad you're feeling better.
Yeah, that's good to hear. So I think we all talk to fans around the state. We talk to fans all across the country. That's one of the big questions they have. There's money that has been saved. Is that money going to be available? And if so, how do the Braves intend to spend it?
Yeah, I think, to John's point, we have provided ourselves a level of flexibility. I will say this, that with some of the dollars that we saved this year, we didn't blink. I mean, we turned that into we went out and we acquired a Tuki Toussaint. It was almost a buy to go get another young upside starter. We got pick 75 when we picked up Trevor Cahill. I mean, there were some dollars that were spent, but with the idea that we were going to continue to add quality young players into the lower levels of our system. And we feel good about that. That's a great foundation. It's a farm system that has gotten stronger because we've put the dollars into it. I think in the go forward, we certainly will have some level of flexibility this year. I think that We are probably not going to be big players in the, if you will, in the frontline starting pitching market. We'll talk to everybody that's out there. I'm not sure in 2016 we're going to jump out and want to do a big frontline position player. But I think that there's going to be enough dollars for us to take the areas, excuse me, where we know we have our holes, and we're going to add quality pieces. We're going to be able to spend money in the bullpen. We're going to take a look at a starting pitcher. But at the same point, we with these young players that we have, if the right deal were to come and we felt we had some surplus somewhere and we could acquire another younger player that we could control for a way, we're going to take a look at that as well. So I think there's a lot of ways for us to go about it, and I think that the financial flexibility will allow us to really fill the holes that we have. We are going to have even greater flexibility when we go into 17. I think that's a year where things really open up for us a little bit more. But at the same point, to John's point, we're looking at without any question. It's not like we have to offload money this year. It's not like we have to get rid of bad contracts. It's not like we have one-year guys that we're looking to move. We look at the players that we like, the guys that we feel deserve to be here. We're going to give them an opportunity to play. We're going to continue to try to give opportunity to our young starters as much as we can. And we just don't have the bullpen pieces that we need now. That's, I think, is going to be a focus.
Anderson Simmons shoots one into right field that drops in front of Bryce Harper for a leadoff hit for Atlanta as the Braves back in the second inning.
John, can you give us an update on the stadium construction? I was telling the guys yesterday, I drove down Highway 41. I could see the big beams for the new scoreboard already in place. What else is going on?
Yeah, it's really spectacular. That really is a signature piece right now. All those steel girders going up to support that video board in center field. It's coming along splendidly, Joe, and we're just delighted. We are on schedule, if not slightly ahead of schedule a bit with that facility. Soon you'll see the mixed-use development come out of the ground, and as we've said time and time again, it's the first time in the history of professional sport that a
Worth and Desmond got mixed up, but still a force play. Simmons in no man's land, thinking that ball was going to be caught. It wasn't, and he's out number one at second base.
Now, a stadium and a mixed-use development will be built and come out of the ground simultaneously, which no one has ever done before. And it's a challenge, but we think it's the proper thing to do. And we're excited about that. And every time we go out there, we have meetings out there at least once a week. And we look right across the street from where we are, the preview center, where season ticket holders are coming to renew their tickets, right out on the new ballpark, and it's phenomenal. It's really exciting, even for an old person like me.
Tom's really shy. He just wanted to make sure that you had his parking space all laid out, that he's got a really convenient parking space.
We've got it.
Well,
we've got it.
No, that'll beat this place, because when I pull in here, they want to know why I'm parking where I park. Don't I have a spot here? And they don't know who I am, so it's okay.
They don't feel alone.
No, you got that problem too?
Yeah.
Okay, that happens.
Williams Perez lays down a putt, and he's going to be credited with the sacrifice. And there's the second out of the inning.
I got to say that it's a little bit funny, but not funny, haha. But you talk about the fans in town, and with all due respect to you, John, I know this has been a bad year for you, but I had a couple here before you got here that were worse than this. And it's been funny hearing people around town, and even some of the guys in the clubhouse that have come up to me lately and said, God, were you guys really that bad in the late 80s and the early 90s? And I said, yeah, we were. And to be honest with you, this team, I think, is a lot closer to being able to be successful than we were at that point in time. And, I maintain that a couple tweaks here and there, but, I think we'll all agree that this process maybe could have been done even a couple of years ago, but it's hard to do when you're still winning, and you guys have not been in an easy position with that.
Yeah. Exactly, Tom. You're right about that. I'll let John continue, because we've had the same conversation that you just mentioned. This team is closer than it may look, and John's had some conversations that shed some light on that.
Yeah, Tom, I think the organization made a very difficult decision. I mean, this wasn't an easy decision. It's Atlanta Braves. I mean, it's one thing if you're that's good.
Going with a base hit. Runner around third is going to score. Bourne on his way to second on the Harper throw to the plate. It's 2-0.
But I think going back to it, as an organization like Atlanta, you've had so much winning that it's hard to take a step back. Even though we're sitting there with one-year players on each corner in Hayward and Upton that we loved, we didn't feel we were going to retain them. And some of the moves that we had, where we had to offload some dollars, those were very difficult decisions, because it was a club that, if you will, ran up the white flag before the season started. We wanted to walk two lines. We wanted to have a competitive club. We think we did in the first half. But I applaud the ownership group, John, for having the foresight to say, look, we're going to make the tough call, and we're going to take a step back with the idea we're going to take 2 steps forward. And it's sometimes it's easier in other markets. At the time, Atlanta didn't have those pennants that were hanging on the board. They were the Atlanta Braves, and it was great, but they didn't have that track record. And sometimes it's easier to make those tough calls and to step back and grow it the right way. I mean, all you have to do is look up at Kansas City. How many years have they gone through? You look at Pittsburgh. You look at Houston. I mean, you look at the Cubs. And these are clubs right now that are loaded up, and they've done it because they've gone through a lot of pain. We made it clear that we're not going to go that route. We don't want to sit there and be there for 5 years and, be picking 1, 2, or 3 and get all these young star players. We want to be able, as John said, to pivot quicker. And we didn't want it to be quite this painful, but here we are, and next year is coming.
But you know what? Final thought here. We're not used to this. To your point about it being the worst, right. We're just not used to it. We're used to being competitive and winning, so it's been a hard adjustment for all of us, but we know the good days are ahead.
Got a few more questions. Can you guys stick around for another half inning? Is that all right? That's a yes. 2-0 Atlanta is your score. We continue down Turner Field. Here at Turner Field. We really appreciate them offering their insights as to 2015, 2016, and beyond. We've talked a lot about how disappointing this season is, how frustrating, how hard this season is. I'd like to turn the page a little bit and talk about some of the things that have gone right for this Braves ball club this year. And I think there have been some things that have gone right. Let's start, first of all, with Shelby Miller. You hated to trade Jason Hayward, but you got Shelby Miller, who, despite his record, has been one of the best pitchers in our league this season. With any run support at all, Shelby Miller is probably a double-digit winner for the Braves this year. I would think you guys have to be very, very pleased with what he's done in his first season as an Atlanta Braves starting pitcher.
Yeah, absolutely. He had a monster first half for us. All-star, was our only all-star. This is a young kid, just entering into the prime of his life, prime of his career. He's got great arm, great stuff. Second half obviously hasn't gone his way. We haven't scored him many points, and it's been tough for Shelby. But we're having exit interviews with a lot of our players now, having a chance to spend some time with it. I had a real good visit with Shelby today. He's upbeat. He knows there's some things that he needs to do this winter. He's going to be looking to correct a few things, but at the end of this is a supremely confident guy that we're going to have under our control for the next 3 years. And he has a chance to be, for sure, a 2-starter, maybe even a 1-starter if he can tweak a few things. And I think you're right, Chip. I think Shelby, and I look at, some of the other young starters that, a lot of times what you don't see out here, and Tommy can probably speak to it, but as you're going through it, it's the hardest thing in the world for me is to take young starters and develop them. There's so many ups and downs. There's things that I'll talk to Roger about. A guy might have a tough ball game, and 2 days later he's in the bullpen. He's working on things. He's, gee, we're working on that fastball command. We're tweaking the delivery. You just don't snap your fingers, and all of a sudden you've got a frontline starter. So I think some of the young starters, we saw Whistler last night. He started out strong and very uneven for a month or so. I think you got a chance to see what this kid was all about. Last night that this is a guy that we potentially going to count on, and again, I think it's just difficult to develop young starters, and we're happy with what we have here. That we've got some cachet. We didn't have any last year when we shut the season down, and it ended last year. We had 2 healthy starters, and we didn't have any. We didn't have any of these guys that we're talking about. So it was, if we were going to, build a rotation, we were going to have to get out on the market, and you're going to have to start throwing money into probably the most inefficient piece of the market, which is starting pitching.
And I think sometimes, John, with respect to these pitchers, to use the word rush is a negative connotation in baseball. But I don't think these guys would have been here were it not for the need this year for some starting pitching. They might have had a little more time in AAA to work on some of their stuff.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. We were fast forwarding a lot of our guys. I mean, Fulte threw a couple of good ball games down there. We saw some adjustments that he was making. Let's let him learn on the job. We did the same thing with Whistler, William Perez. So I think it's you're right. We in an ideal world, you'd love to always have one guy coming up. I mean, the Braves had a template for it. You come up, all of a sudden you've got an opening. Here comes an Avery, or here comes a Millwood. But you've got a core of guys that are there. We didn't have that. I mean, we obviously had Tehran and Wood to start the season. Minor was down. We expect Mike to come down. I saw him last week down in Florida. He's coming back from the surgery very nicely. We've got high hopes that he's going to be back in the rotation and be a factor for us. But between injuries and the fact that we just didn't have any upper level pitching ready, this is what we did. We're going to put these guys out there and let them learn on the job.
Well, Tommy, you can speak to that. That should sound kind of familiar, huh?
No, 100%. I mean, look, my first year here in the big leagues, I got all those same questions too. I mean, I lost 17 games in 1988 and had all the same questions. Well, should you have stayed in AAA, and could I have used another year in AAA? Yeah, absolutely. But I still maintain I learned more losing 17 games in the big leagues than I ever would have learned having another good year at AAA. There's just no substitute for that experience. And I know in my case, and I would imagine the same is true for a lot of these guys, beyond their talent, I'm sure you guys are confident with these guys that they're going to handle what's going on here, and mentally it's not going to shut them down. And I don't get that sense. Like you said, I get the sense that these guys are doing a pretty good job, along with Roger, of assessing where they are, what they need to do, and from start to start going out there in the bullpen and trying to work on those things.
Yeah, that's that is the key there, Tommy. And again, everybody has different makeups, how they handle adversity. And obviously, you don't want to come into a major league season. We're just rolling double play balls here right and left, Perez.
Like it.
Yeah, we're just rolling those double play balls. Williams Perez, nice going.
Double play for Bryce Harper. And we're going to take a break. Couple more questions for you all as we continue. 2-0 Atlanta leads, middle of the third inning against the Nationals. Major League history, and we're getting great answers to some of our not-so-good questions. So we appreciate you guys spending a few more minutes with us. Other things that went right. Some of your position players that you guys acquired. Jace Peterson, A.J. Brzezinski made a huge difference. Nick Markakis, who's leading off here. I don't think Braves fans knew how good a hitter this guy was and what a true pro's pro he is. And I'm assuming, guys, you feel he'll be even better next year once he's fully recovered from the neck surgery.
Yeah, this is a guy that it was laughable. We traded for the guy, and a week later he goes in for neck surgery. So, but we were confident. We love the player, and Chip, it's a great word. He's a pro, and I think he's earned the respect of everybody in that clubhouse. The way he plays the game, he goes about it the right way. He's quiet in his approach, but he plays every day. He is. He's an outstanding hitter. He's going to be first or second in the league in hits. He plays good defense, and he's a rock. And in fact, people laughed at us when we went out and we signed Nick Markakis. I mean, it was within the industry. It was like, what are they doing if they're going to unload everybody? What? Hold on. Nick Markakis is going to be here for 4 years. He's a guy we like. He's a winning player. He's going to put the ball in play. He's going to get on base. And as we continue to add good players to this mix, Nick is going to be a big part of it. And it's interesting. Jace Peterson, this is a guy that has tremendous intangibles. He had a great first half. Second half has been a little bit up and down, but this is a guy that, it's hard. It's hard to break in and be consistent throughout the entire year. But he's never let his defense has never let anybody down. This guy catches the ball, and he walks around. He believes he's a good player. He believes that he's special, and I like that. It's been good.
Everybody around baseball heard the horror stories about A.J. Brzezinski. His reputation certainly has preceded him wherever he's been in the major leagues. Personally, I've seen none of that this year with this Atlanta ball club. Where would this team have been without A.J. Brzezinski this year?
Yeah, he's done a great job with the pitchers. The thing about A.J., A.J. is, he's been catching for 16, 17 years. His career stands on its own. But he's a guy that you love when he's yours. You're not really necessarily crazy about him when he's across the field because he wants to win. And that's the one thing in talking with our staff that they love the most about A.J. is that there may not be a guy in there that wants to win anymore every day and brings it every day than A.J. Brzezinski. And this is a guy I've known since he's been a little kid, and I've followed his career. He's got a great family. It's a good guy with a bad rap. And I'll take A.J. again. We're going to have a tough call, John. We just tell him he's putting on a salary drive right now.
Well, I was just wondering. That was leading me to my next question. That's kind of present another problem behind the plate, is it not? What are your thoughts on what happens with Christian Bethancourt relative to his year and A.J.'s?
Well, obviously Christian has had a disappointing year. We still believe in the skill set. This is a guy that's got everything you want to see in a catcher. He's got a great arm. He can run. He's got some power. He's a young guy that it hasn't clicked yet for him. But we know what kind of talent he has, what kind of ability he has. We're certainly going to look at a veteran catcher to go with him. Hopefully it's going to be A.J. But I think that again with a kid like Bethancourt, this is a tough call because it's a guy. He's out of options next year. With all of that talent, it hasn't quite bubbled over yet to where you're saying, hey, we're comfortable. And the other thing we've got to think about is that if we're going to have a lot of these young pitchers, which we have, I think Shelby's our oldest guy at 24. You're going to have somebody back behind the plate that's going to be a leader, is going to sell out for his pitchers. It's an important piece.
Ryan Weber has become your graybeard, by the way.
Yeah, that's true. Ryan Weber's our graybeard. That's exactly right.
John, we appreciate it. It's great to hear from you. I'm sure the fans appreciate your comments. I'm sure they will take them to heart. And we look forward to what will be a hopefully exciting final week and a very busy and productive offseason.
We're excited. We're excited.
John Hart,
Thanks,
John
guys.
Schultz, thanks so much for joining us. Hey, they've got us a 2-0 lead. We're off to a good start tonight. double play balls. He's got 2 of them. That's good news. The Braves defense, presented by CPI Security, continues to dazzle. 179 double plays, starting with tonight's action turned in by Atlanta's glove men. That's more than any other team in the National League. All right, guys. Wow, how about John Sherholtz and his candor at the onset of our interview in the 2nd inning? Disappointed, frustrated, embarrassed, not up to Brave standards. The outcomes that we've seen from the ball club this year, and a promise that things are going to change as soon as the final bell rings on this 2015 season.
It would kind of diffuse any attempt to try to get them to defend what's happened this year. By coming out and saying the things John did, it immediately makes you realize that they've been suffering too.
Yeah, if you want your guys that are in charge and making player personnel decisions to be upset about the way things are going and want to change it. So I think that's a great sign, and like we talked about, it had to be done, and it wasn't easy to do.
I like the fact that there was, in the offseason when John Hart was hired, there was the creation of a plan, there was the implementation of a plan, there was an explanation to the fan base about what the plan was, and when the waters got really, really rough this year, they didn't deviate from the plan.
No,
would have been easy to.
Right. I mean, and even to their credit, even still, I know there was a lot of questioning going into the All-Star break or the trading deadline. They're around 500. I think they've surprised some people. Hey, we're right in it. The Braves going to get guys. They're going to sell guys, and I think everybody that knew what was going on here knew they're not going to get anybody. They're going to stick to their plan. They're going to sell, trade guys if they can, get quality young people back in return, and they stuck to that, like you say. And it could have been real easy at that point in time to say, well, wait a minute, maybe we're not as far off as we think we are, and as I think you mentioned to John, deviate from your plan. But they didn't do that. They stuck to it, and I think they feel good about it, although it hasn't been necessarily fun going through it.
And as they said, well, first let's go back to the mound, and an easy inning for Williams Perez. He is getting the ball on the ground. 5 pitches for Williams in the 4th inning, and it leads 2-0. We'll continue with that fun right after this. Lineup is also presented by CPI Security. Worth, Taylor, and Harper in the outfield. Still no Ryan Zimmerman. That's a shame. Plantar fasciitis has sidelined him for much of the final month. His first season at first base has been a rousing success. Jace Peterson's first year at second base for the Braves has been, for the most part, very, very good. In fact, you look at Jace Peterson's work this year and compare the Atlanta Braves second base core last season, well, here's how they stack up.
Yeah, and check out the errors. Jace has handled himself just fine offensively, and it's certainly an upgrade and an improvement. But the errors at half of what were committed at second base last year, that's great.
You know who led the Braves in games played at second base last year? Y'all remember?
I would say Dan Uggla.
He was second.
Oh.
There's the pitch, Jace Peterson. Tommy LaStella was the man who started 86 games for the Braves at second base last year.
Tommy's been playing well for the Cubs.
Phil Gosselin started 17 games. Ramiro Pena had 10 starts at second for Atlanta. So again, that's a positive development for Atlanta. They've got Jace Peterson as an everyday player. But to finish the thought that we touched on briefly with John and John, I'm excited that this retool, this rebuild, if they're right, doesn't appear to be one that's going to take 3, 4, 5 years. And it's worth repeating, the Chicago Cubs, who are trying to catch the Cardinals and or the Pirates, they took 4 or 5 years of absolute abject misery to get to where they are. The Pittsburgh Pirates, 20 years without a playoff run. The Toronto Blue Jays, 22 years without making the playoffs. The Astros and all their 100-loss seasons. Even these Washington Nationals had some really bad years. We didn't even talk with John and John about what the opportunity of picking second in the draft could mean for the Atlanta Braves, not just in the first round, but all the way through the June draft. If you want to have a chance to draft Chipper Jones-like, Bryce Harper-like, Steven Strasburg-like players, well, picking high in the draft affords you that opportunity. As Simmons has another hit. The downside of that is you got to have a bad year before the next year's draft.
No, and that's that's again, I think that's the case that can be argued, is that arguably this kind of a drastic retooling of the organization really could have taken place a couple of years ago. But when you're still winning, or you're still going to the playoffs or on the verge of the playoffs, that's hard to sell that to the fans. So I think timing was right last year after the way last season ended to do this. It's just no matter when you go through it, it's never a good time. It's never an easy thing.
Tommy, I've been saying that they could have put it off a year. They could have waited till next year and started. Right. And you would have been that much farther behind. They could have let Upton and Hayward stay, play out their free agency, and gotten draft choices for them instead of players. But it was still going to happen.
Right. No, it was going to happen, and I guess that's the
year.
Right, and then that's where the organization has to sit down and figure out, okay, well, what do we want to get for our guys? Do we want to get draft guys that we really don't, an 18-year-old kid that we really don't know, or do we want to get guys that we've at least seen in professional baseball for a couple of years?
Well, let's say the Braves hadn't made those deals, right? Let's say you still have Upton, you still have Hayward, you don't trade them at the trade deadline, and they're still on your ball club right now with 5 games left of the season. You don't have Shelby Miller. You don't have Matt Whistler. You don't have Jace Peterson. Who pitches for you?
You don't have Markakis.
Right.
Yeah. No. I mean that's a point I think that you forget, and I'm sure a lot of fans forget, is you look at where this starting rotation is going into this winter, like we talked about last night. There's a chance to be some really good competitions next spring. Last year, you're saying, oh, my God, who's going to pitch for us going into spring training?
So you think about Shelby Miller, Julio Teheran, Matt Whistler, Williams Perez, Mike Fultonevich, Mike Minor coming back. Who knows about a Fried, Tyrell Jenkins, who we didn't even talk about in the Cardinal deal that brought Shelby Miller to Atlanta. Not to mention some of the bullpen pieces that Atlanta picked up. Chris Withrow, Paco Rodriguez, those guys came over in trade. If Fultonevich can't start, the Braves think he's got a power arm, can pitch in relief for this team. You know about Vizcaino, you're going to have Jason Grilli coming back for another year, and he's a veteran guy for your bullpen, as well as a guy that knows how to get the final 3 outs in a game. As Todd Cunningham sprays one out of play.
No, and that's why, when you talk about all those things, that's why I say, if you look at where our team was in 1990 and the pieces that we had and the pieces that we really needed to go get, and you look at this team and where they are and the pieces that they need, I mean, I can make an argument that this team is closer. Now, you can't look at it and go, well, look what happened in '90 and then Glavine, Maddox, Smoltz, all that. You can't do that.
Strike 3, and Simmons just did get back to the base. Cunningham is down on strikes. Sandleton steals second, and then almost popped up and off the pillow and was nearly tagged out.
He was ready to go to third, but a great play again by Desmond kept that from happening. And good thing Andrew takes yoga.
First strikeout for Zimmerman tonight. Runner at second, 2 outs, and Williams Perez is the batter. I guess it's safe to say that in some ways the Braves have been victimized by their own success. John Sherholtz mentioned it a moment ago. You look out and you see all those flags. Look, we're spoiled. I admit it. Spoiled rotten. Watching great teams for a long time. But if you're gonna heal the wound, you might as well pull the Band-Aid off and rip it and get it over with and done with. Get the pain out of the way and let the healing begin.
But they so much is said that the first half they overachieved, so there was some excitement about, hey, these guys may be better than we thought, and the opposite in the second half, that we're worse than we expected. And that's been the worst part to try to endure, is after that good first half to see what happened.
No, that's kind of the reverse of what we did in 1990. We were a better second half team, so there was optimism going into that winter.
Little hopper hit towards short. Desmond's got it from the infield grass. Makes the throw to first, and that retires the side. We've completed 4 in Atlanta. The Braves are beating Jordan Zimmerman tonight. It's 2-0 Braves. Braves 2, Nationals nothing. We're through 4 innings tonight at Turner Field. Joe Simpson, Tom Glavine, Chip Carey with you. Andre Aldridge as well. Good ball game again tonight for Atlanta. Williams Perez is outdueling Jordan Zimmerman and is trying to win his 7th game of the season. Williams has turned things around in his last 4 starts. 2-0, a 2.92 ERA for Atlanta after an 0-6 stretch covering 9 starts that saw his ERA balloon over 9 runs per outing. And these are the kinds of steps that everyone wants to see the Braves' young rotation take. Finish strong. And Perez, making his final regular season start tonight, is trying to do just that. He'll face the bottom part of the order for the Nationals: Ramos, Michael Taylor, and Zimmerman. Ramos was doubled up his first time up and rolls one out of play. Congratulations to the Toronto Blue Jays. They've clinched the AL East. They clobbered Baltimore 15-2 today in game 1 of a doubleheader. They're already underway in the second game with bad weather approaching Baltimore and the rest of the Northeast. Dave Baker tells us that Ryan Goins for the Jays went 5 for 5 in game 1 of that double dip. And he's the man that's filled in so nicely for Troy Tulowitzki, who hopes to be back in regular season play for Toronto. They play the Rays the final series this year. A swing and a miss. The Ramos swing came on a changeup. One away in the 5th. Fans, for the last 2 months, Braves country has helped us go from the 32 most memorable moments in Atlanta Braves history to these final 2. And now it's up to you to determine a winner. Go to Braves.com/A50 today and vote on the current matchup. Sid's slide in '92 versus the 1995 World Series final out and celebration. Go to Braves.com/A50 and help us crown the most memorable moment.
Wow, that means Sid's slide beat Hank's 715th homer. Wow.
One ball, one strike. Sid came around third. Did you think he was going to make it?
No. Did not.
It's buttered off A.J. Fowl. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
I don't think Forrest Gump had come out at that point, but if you think back to Forrest Gump when he got out of his braces and machinery was flying everywhere off his braces, you could have halfway expected that from Sid when he was running with his knee brace.
That sharply hit down the third base line past Oliveira fair, and Michael Taylor's on his way to second with a 1-out double. We talk about a play that altered the history and dynamic of 2 franchises at the same time. Whew. Sid Slide certainly did that. So Taylor has his 15th double. They like him a lot. Pretty good chance he'll be their everyday center fielder next year. Denard Span's out for the year with hip surgery. Tough break for him. It's his free agent year.
Yeah, I don't know that you ever want to have to go through that in an offseason, but yeah, particularly this one.
Zimmerman will try to help himself. He bounced out to Simmons back in the second inning. 1 ball, no strikes. Cardinals and Pirates have a doubleheader working today. Pittsburgh won 8-2 behind Garrett Cole in the first game. The Cardinals, though, have jumped out 6-0 over Charlie Morton and the Pirates in game 2. Cardinals, if they win game 2, will reach the 100 victory plateau this year.
And Adam Wainwright pitched an inning in game 1.
Plan for Wainwright is to pitch today, Friday, and again on Sunday. There's a little looper into shallow left field, a base hit. Taylor will be stopped at third base. And Zimmerman does help himself with a soft single to left. And Washington has something cooking in the 5th inning. Men at the corners for Rendon, and only 1 out.
10th hit of the year for Jordan Zimmerman. He was a position player at Wisconsin Stevens Point along with pitching, so he knows how to swing the bat. Second round pick out of a Division III school.
He's a free agent too, and there's some big name pitchers that are going to be hitting the market this offseason. Where do you guys rank Jordan Zimmerman amongst the guys that may end up with the biggest contract offers?
He might be maybe a touch below that top tier. I mean, let's assume Greinke's out there,
right? David Price.
I would put Zimmerman in that next group behind those 2 guys.
Yeah, Greinke has an option on his contract that he can exercise and become a free agent at the end of this season. Rendon waits an 0-1 pitch and line out of play. Dodgers won the West by beating the Giants last night 8-0 behind Clayton Kershaw's masterpiece. Kershaw, 1 hit, 13 strikeouts. He's only 6 strikeouts away from 300 for the year, something that hasn't happened in a long time.
Finishing with a flourish.
Nothing in 2. Bell tie, Rendon took it, and he's retired on 3 pitches. Second strikeout of the inning for Williams Perez. Third strikeout of the game.
I don't know if he was upset at the call or upset that Williams Perez would have the audacity to throw him a 0-2 changeup down the middle.
0-2 hanging change or breaking changeup or something. Yeah.
Wasn't high.
So Trey Turner, the batter. The Nationals are 1 for 15 with a runner in scoring position so far in this series, and wouldn't you know it, Zimmerman's hit is that only safety, and it didn't bring home a run. High hopper. Simmons behind the second base bag will win the race and beat Zimmerman, and Perez works out of 5th inning trouble. Top of the order up for the Braves, who enjoy a 2-0 lead. Middle game of our series with the Washington Nationals. It's trivia time, and it's Ian Desmond who's tonight's subject. Since 2010, he's recorded the second most hits among National League shortstops with 889 of them. Who has the most hits among shortstops over the last 5 big league seasons?
Jimmy Rollins.
Jose Reyes.
I don't know how long Brandon Crawford's been up. I think they've been up since as long as Desmond.
Tulowitzki.
Starlin Castro.
Tulowitzki.
Although he's not a National League shortstop anymore.
But that was only as of about 6 weeks ago.
Yeah, okay. I just want to make sure that he doesn't have to be a current National League.
That's a great guess. We got a lot of choices tonight. Wonder where he'll end up.
Can he play third?
Maybe right back there in Toronto. They've got the goods to do it.
Michael Bourne takes the ball. 1 ball, no strikes. Michael has doubled. Excuse me. Michael has grounded out to short. Has singled home run. 1 ball, 1 strike. Both he and Nick Swisher are under contract for the Braves next year. And that ball slapped toward left. That ball is going to be caught by Jason Worth a couple of steps shy of the warning track. And there's the first down of the inning. Braves fans tonight only get $10 off any ticket in the 100, 200, and 300 level when the Braves take on the Cardinals Friday, October 2nd, Saturday, October 3rd, and the home finale Sunday, October 4th. Go to Braves.com/steal before midnight tonight to take advantage of this great offer. Here's Hector Oliveira. And he's got an 0 for 2 night. To third. Long throw, Rendon, and he got his man by a quarter step. That guy's more than just a good hitter. He's a very good defensive player, too.
Again, we talk about this a lot as you watch Rendon's fine play, but how many times we've seen Oliveira one-hand roll over on breaking stuff. There have been a couple of balls that he has squared up by hitting them to right center with the same type swing. He's fooled, but he didn't try to pull them.
Nick Markakis is batting third tonight with Freddie Freeman out with a sore wrist. Hope Freddie will be able to put a shot tomorrow night against Steven Strasburg. 2 balls, no strikes. Two and one. To first. Robinson flips to the pitcher covering, and Zimmerman wins the race and gets the Braves in order. 6th inning, 2-0. Travis d'Arnaud, who has nightmares every time the Mets catcher hits the ball to the Atlanta shortstop. April 18th, how about this play? Robbing Devin Travis. The heads-up play in Philadelphia after he threw out Bryce Harper in Washington. Tagged Dominic Brown. That was one of the best plays of the year, too. Great sense of comfort when the ball's hit to Andrelton Simmons. He's had another spectacular defensive year for the Braves.
I think the infield defense as a whole has been very good.
No, certainly up the middle is, with Andrelton doing what he does, and that graphic we showed earlier about the improvements at second base defensively. That's, you always talk about being strong up the middle. Well, those middle infielders have done their job.
Braves done a nice job on Bryce Harper. He's 0 for 5 with 2 double plays in the series.
Man, is that a good change up tonight. Great motion on it. Harper better not look back, because D. Gordon is right on his heels for the batting title.
Simmons had him played absolutely perfectly. One step to his left, and Harper is the first out.
Yeah, that's excellent positioning, I'd say.
And Joe's right coming into play tonight. Harper at 334, D. Gordon at 332. And the Marlins are playing Tampa Bay tonight. The Rays are beating them in the 5th inning 2-1. Jason Worth 0 for 2. One ball, one strike. Fly ball center, well hit. Born back and has room. Ball tied on the warning track. Wind blowing toward right might have helped the cause. Hard hit ball, but it's the second out.
I thought that was gone. Williams counted it too.
Yes, he did. And then watched it and thought, oh, okay. Kind of died out there, like you said, when it got out towards the warning track.
Robinson takes a ball, 1 ball, no strikes.
Those teams that have to play Detroit in the last week to 2 weeks of the season in the American League, trying to win or earn a spot in the wild card or win a division, I don't envy them, those teams having to play Detroit. With the firepower in their lineup, I know they've had a bad year. They've been out of it for a while. But you could catch them on a bad night when Verlander's pitching and they've got their hitting shoes on, and it's going to be a long night.
Sharply hit to center for a 2-out single for Robinson. And the team that's playing the Tigers tonight's another one that has some firepower. That's the Texas Rangers. Texas 2, Detroit 2. And that game's very important as far as the American League is concerned. The Rangers have a 2-game lead over the Angels now in the West. The Angels have leapfrogged over the Astros with the second wild card in the American League West. If the playoffs were to start today, and they don't, Houston would be out of the playoff picture. And here's what makes the Texas Rangers story so interesting. Do you know who they play the final 4 games of the season? The Los Angeles Angels in a 4-game series in Arlington starting tomorrow.
Yeah, it's interesting also, Chip, that all those teams that are contenders for that wild card have odd finishes. Not odd, but nothing overlaps. For example, you mentioned the Angels 4 at Texas. Houston has a day off Thursday after a game in Seattle tonight. And then they have 3 at Arizona in interleague play to finish the season. Minnesota, who won the first game of their doubleheader today at Cleveland and are trailing in the second game. They've got 2 at Cleveland today, 1 at Cleveland tomorrow, and then they finish at home with Kansas City, who's going to be getting primed for the postseason. So no head-to-head anymore, except that Angels and Texas matchup.
And if I had to guess, Houston would say, all right, we want those 2 teams to split and we want to sweep.
Yep.
But the road has been horribly cruel to the Astros. They have the worst road record in the American League. Entering tonight's action for the Astros in Seattle.
Well, and Arizona's played well too. They're 5 games under 500, but they've won 6 of their last 10.
Full count pitch here for Ian Desmond. Runner goes, and the pitch missed low. So a single and a walk come with 2 outs in the Washington 6th. Third walk for Perez. One of them was an intentional pass, and A.J. Pierzynski out to tell Williams, let's end this right here, right now.
Probably something about that little man in his head.
Get him out of here.
Ramos has been doubled up and he's struck out, so he's 0 for 2. The M&M boys are loosening up. McKirahan's the lefty. 0-1. Has just 1 perfect inning so far tonight. He scattered 6 hits and 3 walks.
A couple of nifty double plays didn't hurt.
That painted a corner. Now it's 2-2.
That was the proverbial reach back for a little extra on that one.
Michael Taylor's on deck. Runners will be off with a full count pitch for Wilson Ramos.
Ramos is dangerous because he can drive that ball so hard to right field. Anything middle away.
He pulled that ball foul at third. Oliveira a little slow getting up.
That was close.
Looked like the bare hand just kind of stuck into the ground a little bit.
Yeah, it did.
Off the pitcher's glove. Simmons recovers. Catcher running. Plenty of time to get Ramos. And that will retire the side. A 1-6-3 put out. The ball bouncing the Braves' way in the top of the 6th inning. Anderson Simmons in the middle of another heads up and exciting play. Braves still lead 2-0. play. A.J. Brzezinski's had himself a great series so far.
This little knock here made him 4 for 4 in the series. That was in the first inning. Gave the Braves their first run after 2 were out, nobody on. Markakis double, and then a bloop from A.J.
And he'll lead off for the Braves in the 6th. He's hitting .300. And a pop to first on the first pitch. 1 out. Zimmerman sent down 6 straight. Nick Swisher greets him next.
Nick Swisher had good numbers against Zimmerman too, coming in 3 for 6 with a double, but the 3 outs were all strikeouts. So Zimmerman won a battle or 2 also. Tommy, where was your favorite city to go to in the National League? Not necessarily to pitch, but you enjoyed going there.
Probably Chicago and San Diego.
Best golf city?
Man. Philadelphia and New York, probably.
Best road mound?
Dodger Stadium. The one at the Vet in Philly, the old one, was good too.
Really?
Oh, it was almost too big though. All you had to do was lift your front leg up, and you couldn't help but be going downhill towards home plate. It was huge.
What made Dodger Stadium's mound so?
Same thing. It just had a good slope to it. The only bad thing about it back in those days was.
That's well hit center. Taylor on the run, still going back on the warning track. Has room a step shy of the wall. Swisher and Worth can talk about that particular outcome. 2 outs.
The only bad thing at Dodger Stadium back in those days was, you have that bullpen where you're in such an enclosed area, and even for me, when you're throwing and the ball hits the mitt down there, it sounds like you're throwing 150. So you come out of there thinking, oh man, I got my stuff today. And then back before they moved the backstop closer, you got out on the mound and felt like you were pitching from second base. Because that backstop was so far away, it just gave you the perception that. And then you'd throw the same pitches and you wouldn't hear that noise, and you think, oh my God, what happened?
We've heard that sound on our bullpen mics when we've heard guys warming up out there.
Jace Peterson with 2 outs, even count, 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, conversely, what was your least favorite place to pitch?
Oh, the old place that the Marlins played in.
Oh, Joe Robbie?
Oh my gosh, whatever could go wrong for me there went wrong. And then conversely, old Cincinnati, Riverfront Stadium. All I had to do was show up there and I was going to win.
How weird. I mean, that was such a great hitter's park.
Yeah.
Cued toward third. Rendon takes a peek. Throws low to first, and Peterson barely out. Nice scoop by Clint Robinson at first. Freddie Gonzalez may be contemplating a review of this play at first base. Bang, bang play. Peterson called out. Let's see on this replay if he was.
I think he's safe.
I think he beat it.
Ball in the dirt. Helped him get in there.
And Freddie is going to challenge the call at first. So how about this? The Braves grounds crew's hard at work. They're going to manicure the infield. If the call is overturned, the Nationals are going to get the fresh dirt.
Well, those guys are going to have to hustle even more than they normally do.
Right. Crowd reacting to the replay on the jumbo scoreboard in center. They think Jace was safe.
Safe. Clear picture there. Nice work by the truck.
And the verdict is in. He is safe. All right, infield hit for Jace Peterson. So the call is overturned. And the inning will continue for Andrelton Simmons.
I wonder if the ground crew will come back out now.
I hope so.
Can't get all kinds of footprints now.
Yeah. Can't play under those conditions. Good night for Andrelton. He's 2 for 2.
See, on a call like that gets overturned, I feel like you're playing with house money. Take a chance.
Yeah.
Steal second.
Well, I think it's going to be interesting to watch the playoffs this year. And I know, Joe, we're all excited about your coverage for our friends at TBS.
Thank you.
When postseason gets started. It's going to happen at some point as Simmons drops down a punt. Rendon with a bare hand makes the throw to first. We're going to have a very exciting finish. Play at the plate. One team's going to think the game's over, and we go to review, and we continue on as we do in Atlanta after 6. Days of the regular season. One more with the Nationals here tomorrow night. Join us at 6:30 for Braves Live on Sports South. That'll be Ryan Weber and Steven Strasburg. Then we'll get our last look at the soon-to-be 100-win St. Louis Cardinals Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Cardinals have the best record in the National League. It'll be a homecoming of sorts for Jason Hayward and Adam Wainwright, who pitched today in relief for the Cardinals. Gave up a run in an inning, but he's scheduled to pitch on Friday and Sunday for the rampaging Redbirds. End of the night for Williams Perez. 6 shutout innings in his final regular season start, and he'll give way to Peter Moylan.
Good effort. I mean, you know, just what you wanted to see out of him. You know, he had the opportunity to finish the season strong, and he did it. And you know, that's going to give him a much better feeling going into the winter for sure.
To me, that has to be like a hitter, his last game of the season, going 4 for 4, you know, and feeling like you really had a good finish, something positive.
And we talked about it earlier when John and John were in the booth. For Williams, it's really been a roller coaster year for him. He started brilliantly for the Braves, then got hit with that batted ball in Pittsburgh, went to the DL, came back, struggled mightily, and in his last 5 starts now, a sub-3 ERA for Atlanta in September.
Well, I mean, I think you've seen it with all the young starters at some point in time, and it's what I have always maintained, that as a young player, that consistency factor is hard to get to. And you know, it's the kind of thing that it requires you to constantly be evaluating what you're doing, constantly be looking at what am I doing well, what am I not doing well, where can I tweak things a little bit. And it's, you know, like I said, it's not easy to learn all that stuff here at this level, but boy, oh boy, is it a valuable opportunity for these guys to get this experience.
So Perez a chance to win his 7th game if the Braves can get 9 more outs for him. Peter Moylan, the first man in relief tonight. And he just struck out Taylor to start the 7th inning. There's out number 1.
That was nasty.
Yeah, it was.
Tell you what, in a season of improbable stories, how about the one of Peter Moylan this year?
One of those stories that we love seeing for good guys.
Signed as a player / pitching coach, and he was going to work at Danville, and that's where Peter was coming back from another elbow surgery, and he started pitching and coaching and then pitching some more and pitching better, and got moved up as Reed Johnson hits it to short. Throw to first, nails him, 2 down. Finally Moylan was pitching so well the Braves said forget the coaching part, you're a pitcher again. And here he is with the Braves back in the big leagues, and I would assume, guys, he would get a look in spring training next year for Atlanta. They need some veteran relief guys down there.
Yeah, I would assume that if that's what Peter wants to do, continue playing and continue pitching, I would assume he would get a look.
And I've heard some of the younger guys talk about and refer to Peter as a steadying influence down there when things have been a little sour. He's very positive and always there to help anyone that wants to talk.
So the Braves have chased Jordan Zimmerman tonight. He gave up 2 runs in 6 innings of work.
And he only struck out 1.
Braves have left 5. The Nationals have left 7. Anthony Rendon, the hitter. And a sweeping breaking ball has him behind 0-2. A lot of things have to be going through the mind of Jordan Zimmerman. Could be his final start as a National. All-time winningest pitcher in franchise history with 70 victories entering tonight's play. To short, Simmons charged, got the friendly hop and throws on the run. Peter Moylan with a perfect 7th inning sends us to the stretch. The Braves are shutting out the Nationals 2-0. Good travel partners for all of us with the Braves and Fox Sports this year. They got us from city to city in comfort, class, and style. And we appreciate Matt Coney and his staff for another great travel season. Can't wait to see them again in April 2016. Talked about leadership from Peter Moylan, who just worked a 1-2-3 top of the 7th inning. While we were talking with John Hart and John Sherholtz, Peter Moylan was talking to his bullpen mates.
I saw this a second ago. I thought it was awesome because I'm told that it went on for over an inning. And boy, they are all tuned in, aren't they?
Well, they should.
Yeah.
That's one of those guys that has about seen it all in his career.
So Jordan Zimmerman's probably thrown his last pitch as a National tonight. And Washington brings on Sammy Solis. This guy can throw hard. Bouncing ball toward third. Nice play. Rendon avoided tripping over the bag, and he robs Cunningham of a hit. Good play. Again, 1 out.
You know, these are the types of things, and I'm very familiar with them. I used to be a guy who gets called up for a September call up like Cunningham, who had been up with the team a couple of other times, but gets a start. And he's the guy that dumped in the hit that had to be a fielder's choice because they threw out Andrelton at second. Then he gets robbed here on a grounder down the line. Got some bad luck.
Solis is from the University of San Diego. And a second-round pick of the Nationals in 2010. He didn't pitch in 2012. He had Tommy John surgery. And he's way ahead of Adonis Garcia, who's pinch hitting for Peter Moylan. Just past 9 o'clock in Atlanta. We're in the 7th inning. Popped up. Trey Turner drifts out. Taylor comes in. 2 down.
It looks like some of that new golf type grip that guys are beginning to use more and more on their bats. Tommy, with the prevalent use of video now, it's such an important part of scouting and trying to make some corrections. Were you guys using it that much in, say, the early 90s, mid 90s?
No. You know, back then we didn't have obviously the kind of video they have now. You had more of the, what we would do or they would do for us is they would tape the game. So it's on a VHS cartridge or what have you, and they would have a library of every game you pitched, and so you could go back if you wanted to find something. But I was never a guy that I didn't like watching video to try and find something wrong.
Nice pick by Desmond on a hard hit ball, and Solis has a perfect 7.
We'll talk about that some more when we come back.
get to the top of the 8th inning. You know, last night it was the 8th inning when Edwin Jackson entered the ball game with a runner aboard, but well, he got a 3-ball count on the first batter, and he really started talking to himself out there on the mound. 8th inning tonight, Edwin Jackson out there on the mound to start the inning, but I asked him about that, and he just said, look, as a reliever, I really don't want to walk anybody, and that's nobody's fault but myself to get behind hitters. Of course, she got in a situation where he had to deal with Bryce Harper, and I said, did that intimidate you or change your approach at all? He says, no, still angry at myself, but I had to let that part go, just focus on what I needed to do, make the adjustments because I was getting behind the hitters. And tonight I come in with a little different attitude of making sure I'm coming in throwing strikes. I know that's something Tom can really appreciate.
Well, from a reliever standpoint, particularly in those late innings, and we talked about how these two teams in particular have really done a good job of having walks come around to score runs for them. It's the last thing you want to do at this stage of the game. Make them hit the ball and earn their way on.
Edwin's done a nice job as a Braves reliever. 22 1/3 scoreless innings, 2 wins, 8 earned runs. And Trey Turner swings the first pitch, and that's going to be caught by Cunningham in left for the first out of the inning.
So you didn't like looking at video to find something that you thought was a problem?
No. I just felt like if you go in to watch video with the intent of finding something wrong, you'll find something. You know, and it most of the time would have probably nothing to do with what you were doing. So I didn't like that. I just felt like you go in there with intent on finding something, and so you do. I was more of a I wanted to feel what I thought I was doing wrong, and so that for me was more important, to go out into a bullpen and throw the ball and do those things and try to feel whatever it was I thought I was struggling with and try and correct it.
Harper 0-2, fouls it away. So the old timers, I guess, would say that that's one of the biggest differences in the game now. There's so much video, there's so many numbers, so much analysis that today's players are almost paralyzed by it instead of going out, seeing ball, feeling ball, pitching ball, hitting ball.
Paralysis by analysis, right? And you know what? Look, even back then without video, I know I used to do it to myself, and I know a lot of times when if I had, a lot of times the struggles would be 2 starts or 3 starts. Every once in a while you'd have a 4 or 5 extended start where even if you were getting good results, it just it wasn't there. It didn't feel right. You knew you were getting away with some stuff, but as much as you try to analyze stuff and look at stuff, I always felt like when I finally started to come out of it, it was always I would get that attitude of, you know what, I don't care, just give me the ball, let me try to make a pitch. And if I make a good one, then try to make another good one after that. If I make a bad one, then try to make a good one on the next one. It just really kept it simple and got back to being aggressive, and it seemed to work.
Mark Lemke and I were talking about that from a hitter's perspective the other day down in Miami, about how for a guy who's really struggling offensively, if a manager puts on a hit and run, he takes everything out of his head. Now all of a sudden he's only got one thing in mind, and that's make contact and protect the base runner. And I know personally that helped me on several occasions.
Mile high pop up. Harper is the second out.
So by putting on a hit and run, you're not thinking about location, you're not thinking about how he pitched me the time before or what I did last night in the other game, that trying to fix something while you're at the plate. To your point about just make a pitch.
Yeah.
And now I'll make another pitch. I think it does wonders for a guy who's struggling swinging the bat.
Yeah, see ball, hit ball.
Yes.
Instead of, all right, where's my hands? Am I getting my foot down in time? What's he going to throw me?
1 ball, no strikes for Jason Worth.
Mark Lemke was a pretty good second baseman, wasn't he?
I'd say so, yeah. I'll tell you what, if it was a close game and there was a double play that needed to be turned, he was turning it.
Fly ball right at Markakis, who drifts back. Plenty of room for Nick, and that'll retire the side. Edwin Jackson a perfect 8 following Peter Moylan's perfect 7. Braves have a perfect lead, 2-0. .200 and .300 levels when the Braves take on the Cardinals this weekend. It's the final weekend of the regular season in Atlanta. Go to Braves.com/steal before midnight tonight and take advantage of this great offer. Back to our AT Universe trivia question. It featured Ian Desmond. He has the second most hits among National League shortstops with 889 over the last 5 years. Who has the most?
I'll go first.
Go ahead.
I'm going to go with Tulo.
Okay.
Wow, you stole my thunder.
Oh, okay.
No, go ahead. No, go. I'll stay with Reyes.
Okay.
And I'm going to say Starlin Castro as Daniel Castro rolls one out second. And there's the first out of the inning. So he's got him with a 94-mile-an-hour fastball. Let's see if Three Stooges are right tonight. Ha!
Way to go.
2 for 2. Tim Raines last night.
Yeah.
Starlin Castro.
Hotter than a dancing bobcat.
That really will help our percentage. We're running out of time.
Yes.
How about Starlin Castro? Joe, you're going to see the Cubs if they win the playoff game against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Relegated to the bench. He's found new life for Chicago. He's had some big plays, big hits for him.
Well, they've figured out just exactly how much playing time to give him. It's working out.
Exactly right.
Don't want to overexpose him.
Desmond played that beautifully. He robbed Markakis. And there's the second out.
You've got a good arm like Desmond and Andrelton Simmons. Even if you get an in-between hop, you find yourself with your back to the infield, that arm can make up for a lot of things. I would guess that there are a lot of teams out there, if he does go in the free agent market, because he's such a good offensive player, and I say that knowing he strikes out a lot, but that a lot of people would say, we can fix him defensively. You know, he makes a lot of errors. We can improve on that.
AJ got hit. That's why I think Tom made an interesting point or question earlier in the game. If you put Desmond, AJ says, "Lovey, get out of here."
No, he waved him out.
Oh, he did?
He was like, come out here and check on me, will you?
I thought he was waving him away. He was bringing him out.
He wanted
Okay.
him to come out and get some TV time.
Nice. Oh.
Got his jersey.
Busted his buttons.
He's having fun.
Swisher, the batter, man at first, 2 outs. I'm saying this only as a hypothetical situation. Tom wondered, could Desmond play third? You put him on a team that has a guy like Andrelton Simmons playing shortstop.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have to make as many plays defensively.
Right. And he certainly got the arm to play third.
And the bat. He's only a home run guy. Check swing roller by Swisher. Rendon charges. Good play.
Well, he's made a few of those tonight.
And the more you see him, the more you like him, and the more you wish the Braves had been able to sign him when they drafted him out of high school. We go to the ninth. For the last 2 months, Braves Country's helped us go from the 32 most memorable moments in Atlanta Braves history to these final 2. And now it's up to you to determine a winner. Go to Braves.com/A50 today and vote on the current matchup. Sid's slide in 92 versus the 1995 World Series final out and celebration. Go to Braves.com/A50 and help us crown the most memorable moment. Briefly saw Sid's, there it is, knee brace. That's in the Braves Hall of Fame and Museum down in Scouts Alley beyond the seats in left field at Turner Field. Changes for Atlanta. Freddie Freeman will check in defensively at first base. Freddie's wrist problems do not limit him in any way throwing the baseball on that sore right wrist. And Arodys Vizcaíno will come on and try to get the final 3 outs.
The Braves had the day off Monday. That helped because he worked on the last day in Miami. And he worked last night. An inning, gave up 2 hits, a strikeout, and earned his 8th save.
Just shy of 14,000 at the ballpark tonight as Clint Robinson takes a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. Strike 1. And then an 83-mile-an-hour off-speed pitch hit him off stride.
Yeah. He was cheating to get the fastball and way out in front.
Sharply hit Simmons. Backhand. Long, low throw, and Freeman played the long hop beautifully. Anderson just wanted to make sure he was good and loose. Welcome to the game, Mr. Freeman. Good play. 1 out.
That is a heck of a pick right there. Anderson can only smile because he knows how many errors that first baseman saves all the Braves infielders.
Desmond checked his swing, but is down a strike. He's walked twice and he's hit a tapper to the mound. Braves are trying to twirl their 7th shutout this year. The Nationals have been shut out 10 times already. Upstairs, 2 balls and a strike.
Last meeting of the year between these two teams tomorrow. I wonder if Dan Uggla will get a start. Direct hit there on AJ. And did some big time damage to the Braves here earlier in the season. Coming off the bench, 3-run homer off Grilly that tied the game. That was a game the Braves led 10-2 or something, wasn't it?
Some huge number.
Yeah.
And really, that was the game that got the Nationals going. They did not look good at all out of the gate. And then hard slide at third base with Anderson Simmons and Yunel Escobar, and then Uggla came off the bench in the gigantic game. Swing and a miss. Desmond didn't get it. 2 outs.
That's been a really good pitch for Arodys his last 3 or 4 outings.
Yeah. So bases empty, 2 outs, and nonstop action, heart-pounding excitement, historic performances. Don't miss the 2015 postseason starting October 6th. Go to MLB.com/postseason for a full schedule. Yeah, that game Joe's talking about, Atlanta led 9-1 after 2 innings. And then Dan Uggla had a 2-run triple and a 3-run homer. And the 7th and 9th innings to cap the Nationals' big comeback. They won 13-12.
Yeah, that was a tough loss.
No balls and a strike for Ramos. And low and away, even count. Ryan Weber, Steven Strasburg. Can't think of 2 pitchers with more contrasting styles. Wrap up the series tomorrow.
Got that right.
That'll be a lot of fun. Ripped and caught. Match ball game. Ramos hit it right on the button, but right at Daniel Castro. And the Braves have won the series, and they have shut out Washington tonight by a final score of 2-0. A.J. Pierzynski, another game-winning hit. Perez, Moylan, Jackson, and Vizcaino shut the door. 64th win for the Braves. Their 5th against the Nationals in Atlanta this year. And the Braves tomorrow night will go for a 3-game series sweep. 2-0 the final at home tonight. We'll recap it for you right after this.